Welcome to EVE Online, I'm Major Freak. Just a quick note. I probably talked about it before, but I've been tooling around with the Windows for a while now, over 20 years. And, they've added some things, they've taken away stuff. And after they added the multiple overview thing, and I finally relented and gave in and tried it out, I really like it because wow, the ability to have a dedicated PvP overview that you can just not worry about not it's just there right here. It's just awesome. I've got to get used to it, hopefully.
Warp drive active.
But how I've got it set up now, after realizing I needed to adjust my windows yet again to deal with it, it give me a second, is to sort it. So I've got, just adjusting here a little bit. What I like to do is keep a nice uniform spacing between the windows for aesthetic reasons, so it doesn't feel so, one side's just jam packed with windows, and it doesn't feel organic. The spaces in between makes me feel it's not as cluttered, right? I can pretend I can see through it. I can, I've turned off the window blur. It's really important you do that. It's just really annoying. Enable window blur. Check it off. Oh, and transparency, I keep it about here when I don't have the light mode transparency activated. It typically it's this one that's not got the light background enabled. Just the overview, and maybe locations. Whatever, right? So just the overview, and this one too, I believe, is not okay. It's light background, okay, but yeah, I mean, everything but this main overview section is light background, and I've got my main player chat that I use for my alts hidden behind the overview. Sometimes it gets annoying, but at the same time, I don't really need it. It's a casual thing, whereas the fleet chat is a little bit more important. The alliance chat, not so much. Directional scanner is. I also have my drones linked to it, because as long as you have the hotkey for favorites, you can hit your launch key and it will always remember to launch those and not the others. If you don't have a favorites key and you hit that hotkey to launch, it'll randomly select shit. So do remember that's the key, your hotkeys. And as long as you've got that, you don't really need to worry about looking at the drone window all the time, right? Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But the more important thing is, keep your space bar keyed to a directional scan and you're good to go. So the most important things, of course, are the directional scan, keeping an eye on the probe scanner for new signatures, like when you're mining something or doing something PvP in lowsec or something. You just want to know when the new signature shows up. That's kind of important. Fleet chat isn't that important, right? But at the same time, you have lots of instances where you can keep the fleet chat open all the time and not worry about it. I keep it hidden because I only like to have one of my tunes with it active all the time. I try to keep one tune in each chat channel for player chats. Dedicate one to, okay, this tune's going to be in this chat, this tune's going to be that. So I don't have all my alts in one of the player chats. But of course, you cannot not have yourself in fleet chat. So I just have one of them open, just so it's not confusing. That people who don't really know who I am, they're maybe new to the alliance. They're like, okay, who's who? And if I always consistently speak with one, it can anchor people's focus on, okay, this is if not the main, at least this is the person talking in this chat with all his alts combined into a spokesperson, which is, I find, polite. It half the people don't bother. They've They just chat with whoever they're, it's very confusing at times. But it's, I mean, half the people do it, so it's not like I'm going to be able to change anything. But yeah, looking at you, Axoid. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is the way I've got it out. The fleet command, super important. You guys got to learn to minimize this. You absolutely need to set hotkeys. I have hotkeys set up for these for the number pad. All my broadcasts are in the number pad. And I absolutely do not need to have this here. And when I started, when I was new, especially in, new to fleet combat, um, and, comms and get on comms, voice comms, it was always, I was scared to interface with this window because I was scared of pressing accidentally one of these and embarrassing myself or causing issues or anything like that. All you need to do is click this triangle right here, get rid of it, leave it to your hotkeys, your number pad, just and your broadcast system. The settings for it can be confusing, but as long as you have this minimized, you have this right here that you can interact with the latest broadcast. All right, so it's super important, right? And of course, when you are part of a fleet and not doing anything like moving yourself and stuff like that, or moving others, if you say you have boss or something, or squad command, you can just click on broadcast history, and as long as you've got, say, a good broadcast setting system, it'll be colored for you, it'll be helpful, and you can see a history of it. You can check your loot history and member history, but keep it to broadcast history. It helps. You go, oh crap, what do they do, what's going on, right? Your inventory is good. Always, it's so annoying that CCP had not enabled the show hide sidebar up here on one of the buttons here. So show hide bar and make sure you're clicking on the right hold and then unclick that, and there you go, right? Avoid using compact mode for inventory, except for your jet cans. It can get really annoying. And yeah, I group it with the corp because the corp never closes, right? And alliance never closes, right? So it helps prevent you from closing other things that are kind of really important. You want active, right? You always want your directional scanner there. You always want your inventory, obviously if you're minor for sure. And then I keep my local locations. It's in hotkeys now. You can open your system's locations, and every time you open it, I remap it to L only, no control or shift or whatever. And that opens my local locations. And most times it's helpful. Sometimes it's cluttered, but most times it's really helpful to have. My locals over here, I have it set to right here because my targets. That's okay. My target box, my anchor, is right here. And I've got my anchor right here, and that's where I put my chat limit right there. So everything that activates on that target won't be blocked by the local. Also, it's a good idea to enter moving access and put this right over your local right there, because, and of course, it's a good idea to put this somewhere out of the way and not central. I usually put it down here because it tends to populate here and feed upwards. So there we go. And so anything you think, oh, it's going to occlude this, yes, but any message you get that's automated that appears here is usually something that happens when you're transitioning a session, and you're not really needing to pay attention to the local intel, right? So that's why I set it up, and I have my the fleet chat and the probe scanner in this location because these goes this way. And if I'm targeting more than 3, all I have to do is, I don't really need this. It's not absolutely critical. And no pie chick missed out on something. It was short notice. Like stuff I post in Fleet is typically like try to give them warning ahead of time, but she missed out on something because I posted something short notice, and I mean, but to me, I'm not always going to have 3 targets or more than 3 targets up, right? So I can, I can easily put that back in, you know, in position and check out Fleet Chat because, Fleet Chat's sometimes important to read, but, more important than my player channels because that's casual chitty chat. This sometimes could be important. Yeah, so that's how I set it up. Yeah, the combat thing, I just filter, move tab to new window and just dragged it up here. It's just awesome. I think that's about it. I covered everything, I think. Yeah. Sometimes this is annoying. It can get like that, and you're like, but just don't worry about it. Just click here, and it's done. It's set. I have the selected item here because when I'm warping all my guys, I'm able to click, and quickly do that. It is kind of annoying sometimes when I have the selected item here and my target lock's way over here. And I might eventually think of a better way to do this, right? But for now, the fact that this is where the mission stuff populates, I need this clear. And if I'm targeting a lot of stuff and the mission thing's annoying, all I have to do is click, like, hide for a bit, and it deals with it, right? So you have this area, which is really annoying because we can't move it, but we can customize it by temporarily hiding things we don't want. Like, you'll see when I dock, I'll have as much of this stuff open as possible, like the search bar and all that stuff. Typically, I don't. In space, I'll have everything hidden except the solar system stuff and the route stuff, and everything else, like the mission stuff, yeah, okay, I'll deal with it. But if it's annoying when it gets in the way of the targeting list, I'll just hide it temporarily. And I know that normally in space, only this stuff docked, everything possible opened up. And that should be it. Oh, I'll dock and show you the docked station services stuff. Yeah. Crazy multi-boxer missioner. Jesus. Grinding daily. It's like, oh. Well, I love to mine. Maybe this guy just loves missioning. Maybe he just loves to get roses from his agent. I don't know. Yeah, we denigrate others for doing stupid stuff we think is stupid, like gate camping, right? But they probably find it as enjoyable as mining, right? It's just, different strokes for different folks. All right, so I have my everything here. I have a hotkey for undock, which is number pad delete, period. As long as I don't have a chat window open and active, I can hit that delete and undock without worrying about it. So if I've got these guys right here, I can just click here and voila, right? So, and it's nice that this undock thing is in between these two. I did not plan that, and I just noticed this now. I've been trying to finagle this for the last week or two. But yeah, the undock is right here. That's perfect. So if you want to do it this way, the way I've done it, yeah, your undock is right there. Hey, that's awesome. I don't think it's that way for everything. It's close. I try to get them as close as possible. And stuff. You need to be a bit wider. There we go. There. It's a bit akimbo. Of course, this way's this way. This way's a bit weird. Right? It doesn't really matter. But, I wonder... Like, I really want this. When I want to see it, I want to cloud out everything else. So this is not light background. And this is, of course, not light background. And this is, of course, not light background. Right? You kind of need this stuff to be seen. And you'll notice that I'll actually like the windows for in space to not be at the edges, but I'll keep all my inventory stuff, like these stuff, like I really should, at the edges of the screen and fill it up. What I've found is just expand it all the way. It feels kind of organic this way, doesn't it? Just kind of like, hey, you're on station, blah, you're going to be all of it. So I kind of like that idea, and when you undock, of course, you'll want all. I like to have the space at the edges of my screens clear for everything in space. So like so, right? I don't have a space in between these two, or these. I don't exactly know why. Let's try it out. Let's see how it feels if I do that. Yeah, it's a little bit better, doesn't it? It breaks up this. Yeah, it does feel better, doesn't it? It breaks up the feel of being claustrophobic. As long as you have these spaces, it just prevents this claustrophobic feeling. And that's all that counts, because as long as you don't feel claustrophobic, you can, like, this is EVE Online. Own it. Like, own your windows. Like, this is how we play. Don't be frustrated by it. Own it. This is like, hey, I've got it the best way I can. Accept the fact you've got something floating in front of your face that's annoying. And just move by it. Like, see through it. You can literally see through it, right? I don't really notice the windows anymore. I literally, when I can focus on stuff around me and not see those windows, that's the beauty of EVE. Or at least that's the beauty of EVE when you own the fact you're playing a game with windows occluding most of the stuff to get the most information, right? I mean, of course, on a single monitor, I've seen people with multiple monitors, and damn them to hell, I'm so jealous. You know, being able to have that widescreen kind of thing going on, and not so much clutter, but, you know. And besides, I'm old enough to have played Wing Commander, Privateer, and yeah, that stuff was cluttered. You didn't have much choice about customization, that's for sure. Was it the Tarsus ship? Anyways, whatever. Hopefully that helped. Have a good one. And oh yeah, my fleet commander usually has fleet grouped with local. It's just so I can get a larger view when I'm moving stuff around. But that's it. Everybody else can usually deal with it normally. CCP's scrolling technique, when you're like, oh, it's like, you know, Clippy, it's like, or Chippy, or whatever the heck that paperclip was. Oh, you moved somebody to here. Would you like me to scroll up? It's like, no, wait till I scroll to the edge, like the very edge, till you want to scroll up. Not like, it's just like, oh, we think you want to, can I help with that? It's like, no, F off. So yeah, it can be a bit annoying. So when I need to, I can go like that and I can move it back in position. As long as you get the general idea. it will help you. This is just like everything's temporary. Like when you do an when you do an Intel, you want to see a lot, so you'll drag it down, right? And when you want to see more of the D scan, you'll drag it down. Stuff like that. I probably just buggered up the windows, but whatever, right? I can fix it easy enough. Yeah, I hardly ever lock the windows now. I used to in the past, but it just Eve can bugger up, and then you're dealt with a whole bunch of windows stacked, cascaded on each other because they don't want to play together, and it just totally screws up your game. So I hardly ever lock size and position. It screws it up sometimes, but with that not locked in position, I can temporarily adjust things on the fly. And although I might screw up, I've got a general idea how to put it back together. And truly I wish we could share these settings of where the windows are, because then we could have a backup, right, for ourselves of going, oh, I moved computers, got a new hard drive, or got a new everything, right? Um, or I totally screwed up my Windows. I want to go back to the way it was, or try somebody else's and just click on that and bam, you're set, right? So yeah, CCP is shared a bunch of stuff, and it just seems logical that they would share that. It just they must have seen a squirrel and gone, oh, and then taken their attention elsewhere, because it just seems so logical that in this MOG you would think that after 2 decades we've gone through so many computers and so many hard drives, you would think they go, hey, let's try to help you guys out, get back into the game quick, because we'd like you to log on and not get frustrated with the game. you know Sorry, I'm mocking CCP again. So on that happy note, have a good one.